Great. Heidi Hester, Town of Selma, Rec Advisory Board meeting. It's July 18, 2023, 6 o'clock. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm going, before we jump in, let you know that, per the meeting with the mayor, this meeting can be more informal, so we won't have to do, a lot that we did before as far as voting and things like that, so. I'm sorry?
Robert's Rule of Order just says.
Correct, so we don't have to follow that, it can be made more informal, so I'm gonna just say we're gonna call it to order. As far as approval of the agenda, if everyone wants to take a look at that. And if everybody's in agreement,
The only item I had on there was that I was under the impression when we were talking about it that, and maybe I read it wrong, is that I got the idea from Philip that the youth sports would take precedent for the future for scheduling at Harrison Gym, and that's not the way that reads.
I will verify that
Okay.
before I make the changes,
Okay.
and I will email.
And if he doesn't agree, then that's fine too. I
Okay.
just,
I will-
if he will agree to put that in there, then I would love to have that in there.
Okay, I will let you know.
if there's nothing else about the agenda, we'll
Nope.
look at approval of the minutes. So if you guys had a chance to look at that.
And I'll make the notation.
Thank you. That's absolutely no problem. Okay, then we will go ahead and, jump into new business. And then I'm gonna elaborate a little bit more. We had a, meeting with the mayor and, they pretty much said as far as our, board, we do not have to do a lot of things we did. It can be very informal. So this will be more like a conversation and advisory board, was my takeaway from it. There were only two other things I'd like to, make a notation of. As far as, and I don't think it's a problem, but they did ask if there was a lot of information that you would like to filter up. Maybe you could give it to me and I could filter it up as opposed to each individual going to the mayor or going to the councilman, so we could kind of keep it in order. And lastly, which makes sense too, as far as our, board, my understanding is after a year, they want some accountability as far as what we've discussed, what we felt we have done. So I think it might be a good idea every couple of weeks, I apologize, every couple of months, we'll just quickly maybe discuss anything that we feel like we have had a hand in going forward. So I'll just kind of make a note after another couple of months, we'll take just a small portion of the meeting, if anybody would like to add anything. Hey, James, how are you?
She said we don't go through Robert's Rule of Order anymore, so we don't do motions or anything like that, so
We're just gonna be more informal.
Yes.
Okay, so that was pretty much the takeaway from the, chairman's meeting. I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. That's kind of my portion. So next thing, we will go into the, sponsorship of the youth sports. And, specifically, wrapping our mind around, the youth sports, the activity, and kind of maybe a blanket statement about how that works. I don't know who wants to address that.
Yeah, so as far as sponsorship, I know Dawn spoke about that at the last meeting, and we've been talking a little bit more. We're actually planning on meeting in the beginning of August. Dawn, Celeste, and I are gonna sit down and try and come up with some different ways to, get some of the local businesses involved in sponsoring, and then, just getting the community as a whole more involved. We're doing the fundraising night on Saturday with the Mudcats.
Okay.
So that's, a good way for kind of everyone to get involved. And we're also, gonna be doing a fundraising night on Monday, the 24th as well. We're gonna be, we're partnering with Pizza Inn. So from 4 to 8, we will get 10% of all of the, revenue brought in during that time period. And then we'll also have, Parks and Rec table set up at Pizza Inn where we can pass out information and collect donations from the patrons. So I think that's the biggest thing, is we really want to get local businesses involved, and we really want people to take pride in our sports team.
That 10% would be good, that'd be good, that's a good.
Yeah. The school does very well when they do it.
Yes, yeah.
And Don, you had specifically asked, and I do apologize, cause I'm not familiar with this term, about an SOP.
Standard operating procedure.
Okay.
So,
That's-
and I do plan on, when I meet with Ethan and, Celeste, is to figure out what we have in place, if anything. So if I'm out here and Mr. James wants to, you wanna take the business and you wanna sponsor a team, how do we go I've had parents ask me, I've had parents that say, hey, can we sponsor our own team? I have no idea what it
rules and
costs.
regulations,
Yeah, what,
tie
what is
into
the,
that.
if they donate $100, what does that get us? If they do 150, what's that get us? Or, so just if we kinda have an idea, so that we can put that out there and be a little bit more organized. And also, we're gonna have a discussion, because last time we had it was kind of one-sided when it comes to the sponsorship. We have one team that was full uniforms, some extra batting practice, some cage time, and then nothing for the other team, or the other teams. So, just to try to find out what sponsorships are, how they're offered. Since I've been here, we do a lot of going around and talking for, Rockin' on Rayford and the festivals and stuff we have, and not a whole lot for the youth sport, so.
Okay.
And if that comes to, banners, if we can get somebody, we can have banners that we just take and put up at the games out in the outfield for baseball, something we can put up in Harrison Gym and take down. If somebody wants to sponsor, it costs us $40 for the banner, and we get somebody to donate $200.
So you just really want something more, structured as far as, so you can, answer questions like if it's a business, if it's individual, what money would get what as far as, any advertising or, okay.
And I would like to be able to go out and talk a little more intelligently about it when I go,
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
just like, hey man, you wanna try and sponsor something? And then I gotta go back and ask a bunch of questions.
Okay, perfect, okay, that seems doable, I would think, okay, perfect.
Let me ask this
And I
question.
think that goes back to the meeting that was had with Byron, if there's stuff that you want that makes this advisory board more accountable, such as, and I will tell you, when we lost the recreation program manager last time, that was something that they had been tasked with, was a sponsorship program. And I think the change of staff, that's just kind of
Yep.
been something that has pushed to the side. Hopefully now that we are getting back to the full staff and they have been here a couple of months, that can be done front runner, because I do think it's something that needs to be talked about. If names can go on shirts, if that's one thing, it's gotta be a precedence across the board, it can't be for one team and not another team. So, those are things that have been talked about in the background. I think it's just getting to that point because of the change in staff.
And just getting an overall feel, and I think this is something that we wanted from the very beginning, just an overall feel of what a year looks like from the staff, from everything that goes from, I go back to Rockin' on Rayford, to the youth sports, to some of the other festivals, so that we can kind of have an idea how the year is laid out. So as a board, we know what to be looking forward to. We know how to get ahead of things instead of, a month before the Latino festival, then we come in here and say, oh, this is a good idea. Well, a month is not any time when you're in government. So we need months prior to that to be informed ourselves so that we can make recommendations or suggestions or get out there in the community and try to promote stuff.
Well, when we got the staff, when you guys are like Pizza Inn meeting there, how did that come about? Did you kind of go and talk to the people at Pizza Inn and say, look, we want to meet here, or how does that work? Because if it's the board's responsibility, then I don't think it's more, I'm looking at it being more Parks and Rec to set these up and then bring it to us and we approve, say, yes, we're gonna do that. And you mentioned something about, what if a family wanted to sponsor this, how would that proceed work? The same way with Pizza Inn, and I'm staying with Pizza Inn because I might be a little confused here with that, because if a family chooses to support or to sponsor a team, then how would that work for the other teams? Would Parks and Rec pick up another team, or how does that work? Because I'm trying to locate funds now. We're talking about money, so where is this money coming from? I know that you guys have a budget, but what can we do to enhance that budget? I think is where Don is at with this here. So I'm just a little curious to know how this actually is gonna work on your end as the program director and as the director of Parks and Rec.
Yeah, so as far as the sponsorships, like Dan said, we want it to be kind of equal for every team. So what we had talked about doing is, making sure that we are kind of reaching out to as many businesses as possible to ensure that, if we've got 5 soccer teams, we don't just have a sponsor for 2 of them. We want to make sure that we have as many as possible. And then as far as how the whole Pizza Inn thing, fundraising night came together, I really wanted to get another fundraising opportunity in place before fall sports registration ends, and that's on July 28th, so next Friday. And I know from growing up in this area, there's been plenty of restaurants that Parks and Rec or different athletic programs will partner with. And so we just called Pizza Inn, and we were like, hey, we're really interested. We do a lot of business with you guys. We partner, like when we have the wrestling event over at Harrison Gym, we ordered all of our pizzas from Pizza Inn, so we kind of already had that relationship with them. And so we just called them, and I spoke with one of their managers, and I was like, we've got fall sports coming up. We really want to continue to raise money to help update our facilities, our equipment, and just create an overall better program. And we were able to, she said on Monday nights, they do fundraisers for different organizations, that's like their dedicated fundraising night, and they didn't have anything booked for this upcoming Monday, so we were able to just go ahead and get it booked. So that was a really quick and easy process. I think sponsorships would be a little bit of a longer process, because like Don said, we need to go ahead and get that procedure in place of, if you donate $100, this is what you get. If you donate $500, this is what you can get. And we would want to make sure, through you guys and then also through our department, that we're doing it as evenly across the board as possible.
So I think he has explained that very well, but you gotta look at fundraisers and sponsorships in 2 different manners. Fundraisers are gonna be those things that Ethan, Blaine, Celeste are out in the public, and they may say, okay, Zaxby's has a sports night, we're gonna do this. Your sponsorships, we're gonna have guidelines for that, so that's gonna be something that staff is gonna have to sit down and come up with the guidelines that would have to be met for you to do a sponsorship. Like Ethan said, you may have $100 donation, and, that gets you on the back of a shirt, or you have a gold level that's $500, and you carry through to 2 different stores. But you have to set the SOPs for that. So I think probably what you're asking as an advisory board is, where does that line get drawn? So I think probably out of this action item, the business item, you're tasking staff with next meeting, by the time we get through fall sports, I don't know, that would be something.
Yeah, but we wanna see something more structured.
Can you
Yeah.
sit down and give them guidelines? We understand there's been a change of staff, but this is where we are, this is what we'd like to see. And go from there on the guidelines. You make, when they come back to you, you make the tweaks, you tell them what you like, what you don't like, and then once they see that, I would have to go look. I don't know if that's something that would have to go before council, but if it is, that's something that we put before council, get it approved. Same thing with community engagement, when they're going out and talking to the different sponsors for these events, that's something that had to be put in play. If you're paying $5,000, you're getting your name on 7 banners for the next 7 Rocket on Rafers, or however that looks. But I think because we don't have anything in the play, the fundraisers are fine to start where you're at now, but until you get those guidelines in place, you can't start taking money for sponsorships until you know what that looks like.
I look at it as fundraisers go general fund, sponsorships are more earmarked for specific things that they go and they are sponsoring. That's kind of the way that I've always,
So like
Just
this
in
year,
general.
we budgeted for the new equipment for football, but it may be next year, we can't see that new equipment's gonna fit in the budget. So if we have that sponsorship and someone comes and says, oh, well, you've got $500, I'll do this if you can put like my logo on the front, something like that, but you've got to have those guidelines written before you can just take the money. So I think that's where your charge is right now, you're just trying to decide where that line is, so if you want to ask staff to come back with a program, then that may be what you're
Yeah,
at.
yeah, and that's what, yeah, I think we'd like to see something like that. That sounds good.
that answer your questions, Mr. James?
Yeah,
Kinda?
somewhat, not really, but, I can buy what's being said there, but,
I think it's just a work in progress.
Yeah,
think so.
I think it is too.
The fundraisers are coming from conversations that are had with different towns, different municipalities. Ethan's been out talking a lot on, well, if you guys want this, you know, how do you bring in money for that? And I don't think with the transitioning staff that they have really had, he's, you know, learning, gaining knowledge on what his role is and what he's been doing in the town. So the sponsorship thing has kind of been put on the back burner. But if you as a board wanna bring that to a head, I think, you know, you can task them with that and give them a timeframe of what you'd like to see it back.
Yeah,
I think once Don meets with them, we'll know more. I think that's,
I'm sorry.
once Don meets with them, I think we'll know more. So,
Okay, great. I think if we can, move on from that one, we're gonna talk about the, summer camp sign-up participation. So we really just want, maybe an understanding about, how the summer camps are going, as far as participation, maybe just a little bit of feedback about, just anything related to the summer camps, how the schedule's been going.
Yeah, summer camps have been going, great so far. We scheduled 7 summer camps this, year, and we've completed 5 so far. We've already completed basketball, tennis, pickleball, soccer, and football, and then we have 2 more that are still scheduled. We'll have baseball on Monday and Tuesday of next week, and then we'll have volleyball on July 31st through August 2nd. And as far as participation numbers, with basketball, we had 15 kids participate, tennis, we had 12, pickleball, we had 11, football, we had 38 kids, and soccer, we had 25. So we've had really good turnout for the
Pleased with
Lions
the
last few
numbers.
weeks. And then even with, you know, I know Braden, Don's son, participated in the pickleball camp. This is the first year we've ever offered a pickleball camp. So getting 11 kids, I was really happy about that number because, you know, as I'm sure a lot of you know, pickleball is one of, if not the fastest growing sports in the country. So, you know, being able to start that off and having 11 kids, I just feel like in the future, we have a really good chance to continue to grow that program. And, this year we did a little bit differently than years past. We brought in instructors for each sport. So all of our summer camp instructors have either coached or played that specific sport. And I feel like the kids are getting a really good, knowledge of the game from them. And so far, all the feedback I've gotten has been really good about all the summer camps. I think they're going really great. So I'm excited to continue to grow them in the future and then, you know, get some more feedback as we finish up the last few camps.
I think it's great that you're getting the coaches, people who coached, who've done that before, and not just like a parent, but you get somebody who's done it, and that really,
Is that knowledge base?
yeah, they have that knowledge and that they've done that before, so I think that really adds to the program.
And I'm excited about pickleball, because I can imagine, I know as an older person, we're beginning hearing about that, but as far as younger people, and I think that's exciting.
Yeah, and the good thing is, with the instructors we brought in this summer, all of them have expressed interest in continuing this relationship and continuing to work with us and
good.
going forward. So I think it's, you know, a really good start to a
Yeah.
relationship with them as well.
That's good.
Perfect. Great. Is there any more questions related to that?
no, I'm good.
Okay, so, now we're gonna jump into, related to the town cleanup project, there's some excitement, and we've had it before, so if you wanna tell us a little bit, maybe just a glimpse of what we did in the past, and maybe, an idea of what we could do in the future.
Well, and that was one of the questions when I saw that, I was
great, so that would be something I would like to put out there too, if, you guys could kinda come together and maybe give us an idea, and we all could have a meeting of the minds, it's a good idea, and then go
We have
with
a
it.
department head meeting tomorrow, so I'll make sure I put it on that.
That would be
list.
wonderful. Do you have any specific ideas right now, just to
Well,
throw
well,
out?
we talked about it, just our group, actually, some about doing not a big cleanup, but like instead of meeting on Wednesday morning, we just gonna meet out in the streets and clean. We did that one time before, and everybody just spread in different directions of the town. We just cleaned the town.
Yeah.
We stayed off the major roads because, I don't like major roads, become a good target. But if you get little into the organizations, different organizations want to get excited about it, just because, it's like, it's almost like adopt a block or that
Right,
type of.
right, and that's exactly what we could talk about, kind of figure out, an adopted spot is what we could call it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be written in stone, but if we could get some idea, maybe where and when, and then we could start brainstorming and move forward with it.
Yeah, something to keep in mind is we have 5 parks.
Yes.
So one, I mean, you could take 2 or 3 parks for one, one thing, and you go and, I mean, I've been over to Edgebrook and I've sprayed for wasp, I've knocked things down. I mean, it'd be great to go in there and where the play equipment is, you rake the sawdust back where the kids play and it gets dug out. I mean, it's just little maintenance, things like that. If we, if you've been tasked to do that, it would be very simple to have, 8 people go to one park, 8 people go to another park, and then with 2 hours, you have all those little things done, and it's going to save a whole lot of time, I think, on Ethan's part, for him and his staff to have to go around all these parks and keep checking this stuff, because I do go around them, and I try to keep him informed that, the weeds are growing, we need to spray for weeds here, we got wasp nests here, this has been broke, or, something like that, and if you've been tasked, I think that's one part of this, the town that is really, really great, is the number of parks that we have, that are number of parks that have equipment, the number of parks that are accessible, I mean, I think it's really good, and though, we approved, the little library. I know it's been damaged a couple of times, just little things like that you gotta keep up and go over there and fix and repair, so I think it should be put on the list for, one of the spots if you guys have been tasked to do that, I think it would be well worth the while to, not the same as Brack Wilson with all that heavy-duty cleanup, but just going and doing some simple stuff and moving on, I mean.
Yeah, you'll never have the staff do all of it. We become the staff for that day,
Yeah.
so it makes it easy for y'all.
But yeah, but when we did those ones prior, we had a good turnout, and it was just a very good community event to get
Yeah,
everybody
and
out
that's what we
there.
would like to see,
Bring food,
where staff is there, but also.
cook out food.
Exactly.
And I think if we more consistently do it and have it, because, I think I was disappointed the number of folks that showed up for Brack Wilson. It was a few of us, and that was it, and everything else was staff, which was great, like
Yeah,
seeing the
we
staff out there,
appreciate it.
but, I spent a lot of time putting it out to the text messages, to all the teams that I had been involved in, and got, very little response, and I think if we were just to do it more frequently, maybe we can get some of these folks involved. If we get enough folks to show up, I mean, I know the backboard over there at Harrison Gym now, the outdoor basketball court is broken again, and, I mean, that is a great court over there. If we show pride and we're out there, I think we'll start getting everybody else to show a lot of pride and take care of things, and
And they're not going to notice, we got, Harrison's home on it, so, I mean, we know it, and we are working diligently, like, there's been a lot of transitions that.
oh, yes.
We do have the priority list, and we are working our way to each and every one of them, so.
No, and I'm very pleased with all the work Ethan and Celeste have done. Yes.
I think it just
They
kinda
hit the
puts it
ground
on the
running.
radar though.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I think just kinda puts it on the radar that we want, and again, I know everything you guys, well, probably don't know everything, but I know it's been a lot for all of you, and we do appreciate it. So nothing is dire, but I think it just, if we can put it on the radar and go forward and start wrapping our minds around it, it'll get done. Do it? Okay, yeah, yeah, great. Is there any additional comments, suggestions, anybody would like to add at this point?
How's the, I do wanna ask about the fitness center, the fitness part, the fitness, what's it called? Harrison
What's it called?
Fitness.
Fitness wall.
I think, Lauren, don't quote me. You don't wanna let me get off camera, but I think I heard in general conversation today, we're supposed to have a call, and I didn't get a chance to check my email because I've been confused, but I think he said, let's skip the meeting because we're so close to being done, we'll touch base at the beginning, so I'm thinking it's barring rain, maybe end of this week, first of next week.
It's
I know
exciting to
they're really
see it.
close.
Yeah,
We
it's
both got
exciting
there
to
today.
see, yeah, everything come together.
But hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we're looking at getting it done, but all of this rain has.
Yeah, and it's just
kept
kind
it
of-
from being able to move forward like it was supposed to.
But I would love to have, I mean, us all coming together, cause to me, this is something to celebrate.
Yes.
So, I'd like to move forward, like I said, and really see that everyone knows this is out there, so.
Yes, to follow up, that is, if, once we get it in place, do we have any kind of a groundbreaking
Festival.
not,
Yeah,
I mean, just
festival, but yeah, something.
ribbon cutting, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Well, and that was one thing that we could talk about, like, how does the grand opening look? I think we're more set on when we're gonna be, get to that commission stage, so we
Mhm.
can kind of look at that. So in the back of our minds, that would be how it would look, because I know this board appearance has had some play in like the pictures or the artwork maybe. So I think, that's what we would focus on, possibly doing something like that, or even a ribbon cutting, but we're, until we kind of have that final day, we haven't really seen anything in stone.
And that, unfortunately, yeah,
Definitely, once we
yeah.
have something kind of planned and what the thought process, reach out to all the boards that have been involved and let y'all know. If we
like that.
don't, hopefully it wouldn't be before, like, it would be before the next meeting, so, but I'll definitely keep everybody in the loop.
that would be wonderful. I think it's definitely something to celebrate.
and since we're part of the library, also on this board, and I'm just being nosy, is that just gonna be a parking lot next to it now?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to sprint across the 301 to get to it.
Yeah, well, you know,
But it's parking, so that's when you get to, you need parking. So.
I've seen them run there. Well, good, I'm glad I needed more parking, so. That's great.
Great, well, I'm not aware of anything as far as a closed session, so I will use my gavel for an adjournment. Is everybody in agreement? Is there anything you'd like to?
Adjournment.
Okay.